Welcome to the channel NUMIS Treasure Hub. Imagine checking your pocket change after buying coffee and discovering a penny that could pay off your mortgage, buy a luxury car, and still leave you with enough cash for a dream vacation. Sounds impossible, right? Well, that ordinary-looking 1996 Lincoln penny sitting in your change jar might be worth an absolutely staggering amount that'll make your head spin. Because while millions of people are spending these coins every single day without a second thought, a select few examples have sold at auction for amounts that seem completely insane. And I'm about to show you exactly what makes certain 1996 pennies worth a fortune, while others are worth just 1 cent. This coin is sold for as much as $183,000. Yes, you heard that right, $183,000 for a penny that was minted just a couple decades ago. And the crazy part is that this treasure could be hiding in your pocket, your car's cup holder, or that massive change jar you've been ignoring for years. So pay close attention because what I'm about to reveal could literally change your financial future. The 1996 Lincoln penny was produced in massive quantities at the Philadelphia Mint with over 6 billion coins struck that year, making it one of the most common pennies in circulation. But here's where things get absolutely wild. A tiny fraction of these coins left the mint with errors so rare and so valuable that collectors are willing to pay prices that would make most people think you're joking. The error we're hunting for is called a double die obverse. And if you don't know what to look for, you'll miss it every single time. This error occurs during the die creation process when the design gets stamped onto the die multiple times at slightly different angles, creating a doubled appearance on the finished coin. And on the 1996 penny, this doubling is most visible on the word Liberty and the date itself, where you can see clear separation and doubling of the letters and numbers when examined closely. Now, before we go further, if you're enjoying this treasure hunt and want to make sure you never miss a fortune hiding in your change, smash that subscribe button to NUMIS Treasure Hub right now, because we're covering coins that could be worth more than your car. And trust me, you don't want to accidentally spend something that could pay your rent for years. The Philadelphia Mint in 1996 was running at full capacity, striking millions of pennies daily to meet the massive demand for circulating coinage. And in the chaos of high-volume production, quality control occasionally missed these double dies before they entered circulation, which is exactly how these error coins ended up in the hands of regular people, just like you. Here's what makes this even more valuable. The doubling on these 1996 pennies isn't subtle. It's dramatic and clear when you know what to look for, creating a nearly 3D effect on Liberty's profile and the inscriptions. And this visual impact is what drives collectors absolutely crazy with desire. The first documented sale of a high-grade 1996 double die penny shocked the numismatic community when it hammered for over $29,000 at a Heritage Auctions event in the early 2000s. But that was just the beginning, because as more collectors learned about this error and demand intensified, prices started climbing into the stratosphere. Wait until you hear what happened next. A 1996 Lincoln penny graded MS, 68 read by PCGS, meaning it was in essentially perfect mint condition with full original copper luster, sold in a private transaction for $183,000. Setting a record that made headlines across the coin-collecting world and beyond. Can you imagine the person who first found that coin? They probably had no idea what they were holding until an expert examined it under magnification, and their life changed forever. But hold on, because the next coin we're covering has an even more unbelievable story that'll make this one look like pocket change. The grading scale is absolutely critical to understand here, because a 1996 double die penny in circulated condition might be worth several $1,000s. But that exact same error in mint state condition with a grade of MS 67 or MS 68 can be worth 50 to 100 times more, which is why professional grading through services like PCGS or NGC is absolutely essential if you think you found one. The difference between grades can mean the difference between $5,000 and $183,000. So never try to clean or polish a coin you think might be valuable, because you'll destroy its grade and tank its value instantly. Here's where it gets really interesting. Most people don't realize that not every 1996 penny has this error. In fact, the vast majority are completely normal and worth exactly 1 cent. But the ones with the double die are incredibly scarce, with estimates suggesting only a few hundred exist in all grades combined, and probably fewer than 20 exist in the highest mint state grades that command those six-figure prices. Stick around because the coin coming up next has collectors fighting over it for reasons you won't believe, and the values are even more insane. The authentication process for these coins is fascinating. Experts use high-powered microscopes to examine the doubling characteristics, comparing them against known genuine examples and published references, because counterfeiters have absolutely tried to capitalize on the high values by creating fakes, which is why you should never pay serious money for one of these without third-party authentication. The market for rare Lincoln pennies has been on fire for the past decade, with wealthy collectors and investors pouring millions into the finest examples, treating them like stocks or real estate investments. And the 1996 double die has benefited enormously from this trend, seeing steady price appreciation year after year. If you're checking your coins after this video, hit that like button and share this with anyone who handles pocket change, because you could help someone discover a fortune they've been spending without knowing. There's something absolutely magical about the idea that a coin minted by the billions could have a few specimens worth more than most people make in several years of hard work. It's the ultimate democratization of wealth where anyone, regardless of their background or income, could stumble upon life-changing money. The story of how these errors occur is a window into the minting process itself, where massive presses strike hundreds of coins per minute using dies that must be replaced regularly due to wear, and when dies are created improperly with multiple hubbings at slightly offset positions, these double dies are born. Then they get installed in presses and strike anywhere from a few dozen to a few thousand coins before someone notices the error and pulls the die from service. Keep watching because the next one has sold for amounts that seem impossible, and the story behind it is absolutely mind-blowing. The 1996 double die variety is officially recognized in major reference books like the Cherry Picker's Guide to Rare Die Varieties, which gives it legitimacy in the numismatic community and helps establish market values. And this recognition is crucial because it separates genuine valuable errors from the countless minor die imperfections that exist but have no collector value. The human stories behind these discoveries are what really make this exciting. Like the teenager who found one in change from a grocery store purchase and used the money to pay for college, or the retiree who discovered 3 of them in an inherited coin collection and funded world travel for his remaining years. These aren't just theoretical values. They're real money that has genuinely changed real lives. The search technique is actually pretty straightforward once you understand it. You need good lighting and at least a 5x magnifying glass. Then examine each 1996 penny carefully, looking for clear doubling on Liberty and the date, where you'll see what looks like a shadow or echo of the letters and numbers slightly offset from the main design. And this doubling should be sharp and distinct, not the kind of fuzzy doubling caused by circulation wear or die deterioration. Before we continue to the next coin, tap that subscribe button because this channel could literally change your financial future. We're revealing coins that normal people are finding and selling for amounts that sound made up. The copper composition of 1996 pennies is worth mentioning too, because by this point the US Mint had long switched to zinc cores with copper plating, making the coins lighter and cheaper to produce than the solid copper pennies of earlier decades. But this has zero impact on the value of error coins, which are prized purely for their rarity and eye appeal regardless of metal content. The psychology of collecting is wild when you think about it. People will pay $183,000 for a penny not because of its metal value or even its utility, but because it's rare, beautiful, and represents a tangible connection to a specific moment in minting history. Plus, there's the undeniable thrill of owning something that almost nobody else can have, which taps into deep human desires for status and uniqueness. Don't go anywhere because the upcoming coin has a secret that changes everything and makes this discovery look ordinary. Current market trends show no signs of slowing down for high-grade error coins like this, with auction records continuing to be set across multiple series. And as long as there are wealthy collectors competing for the finest examples, prices will likely continue climbing, especially for coins with dramatic eye appeal like the 1996 double die, where the error is obvious even to non-collectors. The crossover between traditional coin collectors and precious metals investors has created a whole new class of buyer who views rare coins as alternative assets to diversify portfolios. And they're not bothered by six-figure price tags if they believe the coin will appreciate or at least hold value better than stocks or bonds. What I love about this particular coin is that it's recent enough that many of us remember 1996. It's not some ancient relic from the 1800s. It was minted during our lifetimes and circulated in an era of credit cards and digital payments. Yet it can still be worth more than a house, which just proves that treasure hunting isn't limited to dusty attics and buried chests. It's happening right now in your pockets. If you find a 1996 penny that you think might be the double die variety, here's exactly what you should do. First, don't clean it or do anything that might damage it. Second, photograph it clearly, especially the areas showing potential doubling. Third, reach out to a reputable coin dealer or submit it directly to PCGS or NGC for authentication and grading. And fourth, if it's genuine, insure it immediately because you're now holding something worth potentially tens of thousands or more. The next coin we're revealing has a twist you've never heard before. So stay tuned because what you're about to learn will blow your mind. The community of variety hunters, people who specialize in searching through massive quantities of coins looking for errors and varieties. They live for finds like this, spending countless hours examining thousands of pennies in the hope of discovering that one magical coin. And when they find it, the rush is indescribable. It's like winning the lottery, except it's skill-based rather than pure chance. You could be the lucky one who finds this exact coin. Imagine the feeling of looking through pocket change, noticing something odd about a penny, pulling out your magnifying glass, and realizing you're holding $183,000 in your hand. Your heart would be pounding, your hands would shake, and your entire perspective on loose change would be forever transformed. Next, the 1990 Lincoln penny. And what I'm about to show you will make you question every penny you've ever spent without looking at it first, because buried among the billions of ordinary cents from this year is an error so dramatic and so valuable that a single example sold for nearly $300,000, making it one of the most expensive pennies ever sold at public auction. And the wildest part is that this coin doesn't look like much at first glance. You could easily mistake it for a damaged or defective penny and toss it aside, which is exactly what countless people have done, throwing away fortunes without even realizing it. This particular 1990 Lincoln penny has reached prices as high as $292,000 at verified auction sales, and I'm going to reveal exactly what makes it so special, what you need to look for, and why collectors are willing to mortgage their homes to own one of these incredible rarities. The error we're discussing is called a NOS proof penny. And to understand why it's so valuable, you need to understand the difference between regular circulation strikes and proof coins. Proof coins are specially made for collectors using polished dies and planchets, struck multiple times to create sharp details and mirror-like surfaces, and they're sold in special sets directly to collectors, never intended for circulation. The San Francisco Mint produced proof coins in 1990, just like every year. And normally, every single proof penny should have a small S mint mark below the date indicating it was struck in San Francisco. But through an extraordinary oversight, a tiny number of 1990 proof pennies were struck using a die that was missing the S mint mark, creating one of the most sought-after errors in modern numismatics. Here's what happened. During the die preparation process, someone at the mint forgot to punch the S mint mark into the working die before it was installed in the press. Then this die was used to strike an unknown quantity of pennies that were packaged in a 1990 proof sets and sold to collectors, most of whom didn't immediately notice anything unusual. And it wasn't until sharp-eyed collectors started examining their sets closely that the error was discovered and the numismatic world went absolutely insane. Drop a like if you're checking your coins after this video, and subscribe to NUMIS TREASURE HUB for more hidden treasures that could be sitting in your collection right now. The discovery story is legendary. The first collectors who noticed the missing mint mark couldn't believe what they were seeing. They thought maybe their sets were counterfeits or that somehow circulation strikes had been mixed into proof sets by accident. But as more examples surfaced and the mint confirmed the error, it became clear this was legitimate. And the race was on to find as many as possible before word spread, and they all disappeared into permanent collections. What makes this even more valuable is the extreme rarity. Best estimates suggest that fewer than 200 examples exist in the entire world, and many of those are in institutional collections or held by collectors who will never sell, which means the available supply for active collectors is tiny, maybe a few dozen coins in total, creating absolutely insane demand whenever one comes to market. The first major auction appearance of 1990 NUMIS proof penny happened in the mid-1990s when a PR 70 deep cameo example, meaning absolutely perfect condition with deeply frosted devices against mirror fields, sold for around $10,000, which seemed like an enormous amount at the time, but it was just the beginning of a price explosion that would unfold over the next 3 decades. Wait until you see what's next, because that coin story will absolutely blow your mind with values that make this look small. As the years passed and more collectors learned about the 1990 NUMIS penny, prices began climbing steadily, $20,000, then $50,000, then $100,000, and by the 2010s, top-grade examples were regularly exceeding $200,000 at auction, with the absolute finest pieces pushing toward the $300,000 mark that once seemed impossible. The grading game is crucial here. The difference between a PR 68 and PR 70 can be $100,000 or more, because perfect coins are exponentially rarer than near-perfect coins, and when you're dealing with something where only 200 exist total, the top specimens become absolutely untouchable in terms of value. Here's what collectors look for. The coin must be from a 1990 proof set. It must have a brilliant mirror-like surface with sharp frosted designs. And most importantly, there must be NO mint mark below the date where the S should appear. It's not a worn-off mint mark or a filled mint mark. It's simply absent because the die never received it, and this creates a blank space that's very obvious once you know to look for it. The authentication process is straightforward but critical, because the difference between a $292,000 coin and a worthless fake is professional verification, and services like PCGS and NGC have certified the genuine examples extensively, creating population reports that track exactly how many exist in each grade, which helps establish values and prevents fraud. Can you imagine opening a proof set you bought in 1990 for maybe $30 or $40 and discovering it contains a coin worth enough to buy a house outright? That's happened to multiple people, and their reactions range from disbelief to tears of joy to immediate retirement plans. If you're enjoying learning about these incredible coins, slam that like button and subscribe, because we're about to reveal something even more incredible in just a moment. The market dynamics are fascinating because unlike circulation coins where millions might exist, with proof errors like this you're dealing with absolutely fixed supply. No more will ever be made. The mint isn't going to repeat this mistake, so the only question is demand. And as long as there are wealthy collectors who want to own the best of the best, prices can only go up. The NOS error has occurred in multiple years across different denominations, but the 1990 penny is particularly famous because it's relatively recent, well-documented, and dramatic in its rarity compared to other NOS varieties, making it a crown jewel that every serious Lincoln Cent collector dreams of owning. Keep watching because the next coin we're covering has collectors fighting over it for reasons that defy logic and values that'll make your jaw drop. The investment potential is something even financial advisors are starting to recognize. Rare coins like this have historically appreciated faster than stocks or real estate, especially when you're talking about genuine rarities with documented scarcity. And unlike paper assets, you can hold this in your hand, which gives it a psychological satisfaction that numbers on a screen can't match. There's something deeply human about the appeal of treasure, whether it's gold doubloons from sunken ships or a rare penny from San Francisco. We're hardwired to get excited about finding valuable objects, and the possibility that you might own one without knowing it is absolutely thrilling. The stories of people who found these are incredible. There's the woman who inherited her father's coin collection, never looked at it for 15 years, then finally had it appraised and discovered a 1990 NOS penny worth $275,000, enough to pay off her mortgage and retire early. Or the collector who bought a bulk lot of proof sets at an estate sale for $500 and found one of these treasures inside, turning pocket change into $250,000 profit. If you have proof sets from 1990, stop what you're doing right now and check them carefully under good light with magnification. Look at the date area on the penny. See if there's an S mint mark below the date. If there's no S, you might be holding a fortune and you need to get it authenticated immediately before doing anything else. The next coin has a secret that changes everything. So don't go anywhere, because what's coming will redefine what you think is possible with pocket change. The technical specifications are worth understanding. Proof coins are struck on specially prepared planchets that are burnished to create mirror-like surfaces, then struck multiple times with specially polished dies to create incredibly sharp details. And the contrast between the mirrored fields and frosted designs creates what collectors call cameo or deep cameo appearance, which is highly prized and dramatically affects value. The 1990 No S penny represents a specific moment in minting history when human error created accidental rarity. And there's something poetic about that. It wasn't intentionally made rare like a limited edition collectible. It was a genuine mistake that happened to create one of the most valuable coins of the modern era. The collector community around Lincoln Cents is passionate and well-organized, with clubs, online forums, reference books, and authentication services all dedicated to these coins. And when something like the 1990 No S appears on the market, the excitement is palpable, bids fly fast and furious, and records get broken regularly. What I find amazing is that this coin is barely older than many people reading this. It was minted in 1990, a year when many of us were alive, using coins, maybe even buying proof sets ourselves, yet it's worth more than luxury cars and down payments on houses. Proof that treasure isn't always ancient or exotic. Sometimes it's hiding in plain sight in something made just a few decades ago. The search continues today, with variety hunters and collectors still hoping to find unknown examples in untouched proof sets, estate sales, or collections that haven't been examined in years. Because the population isn't fixed, there might be examples sitting in storage that nobody knows about yet, waiting to be discovered and make someone's fortune. Current price trends show continued strength, with auction results over the past 5 years consistently in the $200,000 to $300,000 range for top-grade examples. And there's no reason to believe this will change. Scarcity is permanent. Demand from wealthy collectors continues growing, and alternative investments like rare coins are becoming more mainstream, all of which supports continued appreciation. You could be next. You could be the person who checks their collection, finds something extraordinary, and changes their financial future forever. That's the magic of numismatics and why millions of people around the world are obsessed with hunting through coins. Next, the 1973 D. Lincoln penny, and I've saved the absolute best for last because this coin holds the record for one of the highest prices ever paid for a Lincoln cent, with verified sales reaching an absolutely mind-blowing $475,000. Yes, you read that correctly. Nearly $500,000 for a penny. And when you hear the story behind this coin, when you learn about the error that makes it so valuable and the insane bidding wars that happen when one comes to market, you'll understand why serious collectors consider this the holy grail of modern pennies. This particular 1973 D. Lincoln penny has sold for as much as $475,000 at documented auctions, making it the most expensive coin in this entire video. And the error that creates this value is so subtle that most people would never notice it without knowing exactly what to look for, which means you could have one sitting in a coin jar right now, completely unaware that you're a few $100,000 richer than you think. The Denver Mint struck over 3 billion pennies in 1973, making it one of the highest production years in the series. And among those billions of common cents are a tiny handful that left the mint with a dramatic double die obverse error, where the entire design on the front of the coin shows clear, strong doubling that's visible to the naked eye once you know where to look. The 1973 deep double die obverse is characterized by extreme doubling on all the major design elements. Liberty shows dramatic separation, where each letter looks almost like it was stamped twice. In God We Trust displays clear doubling that makes the letters appear bold and three-dimensional. And the date 1973 shows strong doubling that's particularly obvious in the numbers, creating a visual effect that's stunning and unmistakable when examined under even basic magnification. Here's the incredible part. This error was created during the die manufacturing process when the hub, which is the master design used to create working dies, was impressed into the die multiple times at slightly different angles or positions, and instead of catching this mistake before the die went into production, it was installed in a press at the Denver Mint and used to strike an unknown quantity of pennies before someone noticed and pulled it from service. But by then, the damage was done. Error coins were out in circulation, and a legendary rarity was born. Before I reveal more shocking details, subscribe to NUMIS Treasure Hub right now and hit that notification bell, because we cover coins like this regularly, and the next video might feature a coin you actually own, so you need to be first in line to learn about it before you accidentally spend a fortune. The first documented discovery of the 1973 D double die came in the mid-1970s when collectors started noticing examples with unusual doubling characteristics. And at first there was debate about whether it was a legitimate mint error or some kind of post-mint damage. But once experts examined the coins and confirmed it was a genuine double die created during the minting process, the numismatic world exploded with excitement, and the hunt was on to find every example that existed. What makes this error particularly special is the strength and clarity of the doubling. It's not subtle or questionable, it's bold and dramatic, making the coin visually striking even to people who aren't coin collectors. And this eye appeal combined with extreme rarity creates the perfect storm for massive valuations. Early sales in the 1980s and 1990s saw these coins trading for $5,000 to $20,000 depending on grade, which seemed like incredible money at the time. But as the rare coin market matured and more wealthy collectors entered the hobby, prices began climbing into six figures, then deeper into six figures, and by the 2010s, top-grade examples were commanding prices that made headlines in mainstream financial media. The grading scale is absolutely critical. A 1973 D double die in circulated condition, showing where from actually being spent, might be worth $1,500 to $5,000, which is still incredible for a penny, but take that exact same error in mint state condition, never circulated, with full red copper luster, graded MS 65 or higher by PCGS or NGC, and you're looking at $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, or in the case of the absolute finest known example, graded MS 67 plus red, that record-breaking $475,000. Sale that set the bar for what people will pay for perfection. Can you imagine being the person who found that MS 67 plus coin? They probably pulled it from circulation or inherited it without knowing its value. And then one day, they had it examined by an expert who told them they were holding nearly $500,000. The emotional whiplash must have been absolutely insane. The authentication markers are specific and well documented. Genuine 1973. D double die penny shows strong doubling on Liberty with clear separation, particularly visible on the letters B, E, R, T, and Y. The motto, "I in God we trust," displays obvious doubling, especially on the words God and trust. And the date shows bold doubling where the numbers appear thick and clearly doubled. Plus, there's usually noticeable doubling on Lincoln's eyelid and bow tie, creating a comprehensive set of diagnostic features that experts use to verify authenticity. The population is extremely limited. Estimates suggest perhaps 5,000 to 10,000 examples exist in all grades combined, which sounds like a lot until you realize that's out of over 3 billion pennies struck that year, making the error rate about 1 in several hundred thousand. And when you narrow it down to mint state examples and high grades, you're talking about maybe 100 to 200 coins maximum, and truly gem examples of graded MS 66 or higher, maybe 20 to 30 in the entire world. Share this video with anyone who needs to check their change jar, and hit that subscribe button because the knowledge we're sharing could literally change lives. The market for this coin is incredibly strong and shows no signs of weakening. Every time a nice example comes to auction, it draws intense bidding from collectors who've been waiting years for an opportunity to own one, and prices keep pushing higher as the supply of available coins shrinks and demand from wealthy collectors continues growing. There's a fascinating psychology in numismatics where certain coins become symbols of the ultimate achievement. And for Lincoln cent collectors, owning a 1973 D double die in gem condition is like climbing Mount Everest. It's the pinnacle, the ultimate goal, and people will pay almost any price to reach that summit. The story of how these coins ended up in circulation is wild. They were mixed in with billions of normal pennies, distributed through banks to businesses and individuals, spent on candy and coffee and parking meters, and most of them probably got worn down through years of use before anyone noticed they were special. But a small percentage survived in pristine condition, maybe kept by collectors who thought the doubling was interesting even if they didn't know the value, or maybe just random. Luck where the coin never circulated, and those survivors are now worth fortunes that defy logic. The investment performance has been spectacular. If you bought one of these coins in 1985 for $10,000, which seemed expensive at the time, it would be worth $200,000 to $400,000 today, depending on grade. That's a return that crushes stocks, real estate, gold, or any traditional investment. And there's no reason to think appreciation will stop. Scarcity is permanent and demand keeps growing. If you find a 1973 D penny with a D mint mark below the date and any kind of doubling visible on the obverse, you need to stop everything and examine it carefully under magnification. Look for strong doubling on Liberty, Indiana God we trust, and the date. If you see clear separation and doubling in multiple places, do not spend that coin. Do not clean it. Do not do anything except put it in a safe place and contact a professional grading service or reputable coin dealer immediately, because you might be holding life-changing wealth. The technical aspects are fascinating for those who love details. The double die was created through a process called hub doubling, where the master hub that creates the working dies was impressed into the die steel multiple times without perfect alignment, causing the design elements to overlap slightly and create that characteristic doubled appearance. And this is distinctly different from machine doubling or strike doubling, which are worthless forms of doubling caused by the striking process itself rather than die creation. The community of 1973D double die owners is small and exclusive. Probably fewer than a few hundred people in the world can claim to own one in any grade, and fewer than 50 own mint state examples, making it a club more exclusive than almost any country club or private organization you could think of, and the bragging rights alone are priceless. What I absolutely love about this coin is that it proves the American dream is still alive. You don't need to win the lottery or inherit money or get lucky in the stock market. You just need to pay attention to the coins passing through your hands, educate yourself about what to look for, and you could discover wealth that changes everything. It's democratic, it's accessible, and it rewards knowledge and diligence over luck. The auction stories are legendary. There was the 2016 Heritage Auction Sale where in 1973, D double die graded MS 67 plus red sold for $475,000 after intense bidding that went back and forth for several minutes, with multiple collectors desperate to own what might be the finest example they'd ever have a chance to buy. And when the hammer finally fell, the room erupted in applause because everyone understood they'd just witnessed history. Before we wrap up, let me give you the ultimate call to action. Subscribe to NUMIS Treasure Hub right now, because we're constantly uncovering coins that could be hiding in your collection. Hit that like button if this video opened your eyes to the possibilities. Share this with everyone you know who handles coins or has old collections. And most importantly, start checking your pennies. Look at those dates. Examine them under light and magnification, because the next $475,000 discovery could be yours. And wouldn't it be amazing to join the small group of people who found these treasures and transformed their lives? The knowledge you've gained today is powerful. You now know about 3 Lincoln pennies that have sold for combined values over $950,000. You know what errors to look for. You understand why they're valuable, and you have the tools to potentially find one yourself. So take action. Dig through those change jars. Check those inherited collections. Visit coin shops and learn more. Because fortune favors the prepared mind, and you're now prepared. The 1973 D double die represents everything magical about coin collecting. It's recent enough to be findable, rare enough to be valuable, dramatic enough to be exciting, and proven enough in the marketplace to be a legitimate investment, making it the perfect combination of treasure hunt, wealth-building opportunity, and fascinating historical artifact. Thank you for watching NUMIS Treasure Hub. Remember to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our next video where we might cover a coin you actually own. Hit that like button to help others discover this information. Drop a comment telling us if you're going to check your pennies now. And share this video with anyone who needs to know that fortunes are hiding in plain sight. We'll see you in the next treasure hunt. And until then, keep your eyes open because the next great discovery could be in your pocket right now.